Hello, this is Baron von Richthofen. I'm going to share a replay sent in by Ginormous Noob. Should be pretty exciting. It was actually, because of a DC, this replay is split into two parts, so we'll have a brief intermission halfway through. But as we start off, we look at top, and we've got Dandin as Udyr, Kurtoki as Blitzcrank, Salse as Orianna, Bobby Hank Hill as Ashe, and Dyrus as Rise. And then for purple, Ginormous Noob's team, we have VFX as Morgana, Bruce Leet as Singe, Anaximander as Ezreal, Ginormous Noob as Amumu, and Asylum as Tarek. So definitely a high elo match, nice competitive game, should be pretty exciting. As we see the lanes, we've got Ashe and Blitzcrank going to be bottom versus Ezreal and Tarek. Should be a pretty even lane. They both have disables, both have great damage. Ezreal is a little bit better at the ranged harass than Ashe is, and especially if Blitzcrank's trying to be aggressive and get those pulls off, Ezreal could potentially harass him down some, be really aggressive in that regard. Orianna, just generally wonderful EP carry. She's great at zoning her enemy, good at farming, and then has a lot of damage in team fights. But then on the other side we have Morgana against her, and Morgana's basically unkillable in lane if played right and can just sit there and farm all game. So even though Orianna is a very strong laner and can usually harass down her opponents, Morgana can use her spell vamp and just kind of stay in lane all the time, and if she gets a little bit unprotected, then she can throw on her spell shield and just be perfectly fine. Top lane we have Singed versus Rise. Both of those champions are actually kind of weak early. Rise does have good damage, but he's not really the strongest AP champ, since he's not an AP champ, but he's not really the strongest caster to kind of abuse Singe. So Singe should be able to get a couple of levels pretty easily, and once he gets a couple levels, Singed is always just really strong in lane, though Rise at the same time. So that'll primarily be a farm fest. But you see Singe does have a teleport because he will be looking to kind of move around the map some, split push. His team's doing dragon, he's up top, come down and help them out. So it'll be interesting if we see that a little bit later. Comparing the jungles, both pretty strong jungles. They both clear the creep waves pretty easily. Amumu, the one issue is that he does need blue, and he is very weak for a level 1. So you might see them come up with Blitzcrank. However, you do see, even though they have Blitzcrank versus Amumu, Purple Team actually has a stronger level 1 with Singe, Tarek, and Morgana, and then also the damage from Ezreal. So while you might see them be a little aggressive with that Blitzcrank, because they don't have a lot of else, Ashe is good level 1, Rise is okay, Blitzcrank's great, but because they don't really have the team, they might come for blue, but I'm not sure that I'll expect a level 1 fight here. As we look at the items, you see Amumu did get a regrowth pendant, building towards a fast Philo Stone. Just a nice successful way. He doesn't really need the cloth armor and all the health pots. He can clear the jungle very easily with just a little bit of regeneration, and then the Philo Stone helps him out a lot. They are coming up here, coming for the gank. They're kind of sitting in this brush. He's got to get out of there. They do get the stun off on Blitzcrank, but his shield's going to go off. Tarek goes down very quickly for the first blood. Blitzcrank will die. He does die for the second kill. They're chasing down Amumu, getting some damage off on Amumu. So Amumu's actually going to have to recall. They're probably going to be able to take this blue without Amumu's, being able to do anything. As long as none of them get picked by Morgana and Singed here, they are going to kind of try and throw off this damage. Amumu did pop his red pot, so he will be able to stay around, and actually they are hoping to chase them off so that they can get this blue back. The snare goes from Rise on Singe. Ezreal throwing that poke damage, great poke damage. If Morgana hits a snare, she doesn't hit, she keeps on missing these snares, unfortunately. Getting some good damage off, kind of just a back and forth game. Singe actually is going to be at the advantage here if he uses his teleport to get up top, because of all the time that everyone's kind of wasting. Chasing Dandin off, he is kind of low, he's going to have to pop a health pot, but Udyr jungles pretty easily, so he should be okay. And you see Singe is actually going to be able to recall and come into lane. He's going to TP into lane against Rise and have a little bit of an advantage there. You see Rise just has a Sapphire Crystal, whereas Singe actually didn't buy anything, so unfortunately they weren't able to get enough kills for that. He did get an extra health pot, but that doesn't really mean much. And an interesting route from Udyr. He's starting at Golems and coming up primarily probably because of the distance, and he needed to kind of clear some creeps to get back up. The pull goes off to Ezreal. He doesn't have his flash yet. Gets down to 70 HP. Probably one more hit would have killed him. Very close to having to burn his flash, but he didn't have his phase shift yet. But anyway, a lot of people, you tend to think of Amumu as a very mana-hungry jungler, and he is if you want to spam your abilities in jungle really fast. However, because his shield gives him some mana regen, and because most of the creeps are pretty easy, he can actually take all the small creeps without, all of these small neutral camps, without really needing blue. And you see he'll probably respawn, recall after this, these wolves because he did use a lot of mana. But he actually, it's possible to jungle him without doing the recall there. He might actually, because he did level up, he might be going for this blue. So I'm not really sure where he's going there. Mumu will recall. Ryze being really aggressive, pushing Singed into this tower. So Singed kind of likes that in the beginning. It lets him play defensively and be a little more safe. But he is going to miss almost all of this CS. So definitely a good job by Ryze, though Singed is, primarily a mid-game kind of farmer. Blitzcrank running over towards mid. They do have a ward here, so they did see him. I'm not sure what he was doing. Maybe he was considering doing something. He didn't have a ward, so he didn't place a ward up there. He's coming up. He's probably going to get the pull. No, he didn't go for it. I think he's not quite sure who to target because he wants to get the damage off on Ezreal, but Ezreal does have his phase shift now, so he should be pretty safe. Mumu getting his red. Not really the strongest ganker, but you see that Ryze hasn't recalled yet, so there is no ward up top. He will likely come up here and try. You want to see if you can get into melee range before you throw your Banish Toss off, because the Banish Toss is pretty easy to dodge. He's actually going to clear his jungle first. You see, Udyr actually did recall earlier, and now he does have his blue buff. He was coming up here to the Wraiths, so Amumu should watch out there. Or Morgana should probably watch out, but Morgana's pretty safe in lane. She can throw on her shield and throw out the snare. As we look at the farm a little bit, we see a pretty even game. Let's see. Ryze and Ashe are beating, their lanes respectively, just by a little bit, but still at this point kind of a significant advantage. Ezreal did have to play a little cautiously because of that early pull on him. However, Ezreal is pretty easy to farm with. Just throw out your range, your Qs, and so he's got great range, even though his attack range is actually pretty short. The snare goes off, almost hitting the snare on Orianna. And Singed did recall, throwing off some harass on each other. Orianna's auto attacks are actually much stronger than Morgana's, so I'm not sure how low she is. She's actually pretty good. And Singed, Udyr does have a claw now, so he will clear the jungle very quickly. It's pretty easy jungle once you get claw. I mean, Udyr's a pretty easy jungle regardless, but once you have claw, you can just run around and do everything you want as fast as you want. You see Singed going for the Sapphire Crystal. He does go in and tosses Ryze. Ryze hasn't recalled yet. He's probably going to recall now. He's got the Maker Creep, and it's pushing up in the lane. So Singed is going to want to push this lane as fast as he can. Udyr's coming down bot. Amumu is also coming down bot. Ezreal throwing off his range poke. He's getting Udyr very low. Udyr does go down. The double buff goes onto Taric. Unfortunately, it didn't go into Ezreal, because that would just be fantastic. They're chasing down Ashe, seeing if they can get in range. Just barely out of range. Don't want to get pulled! Oh, very close to getting a pull on that Ezreal. But definitely a good job picking up that kill. It also, because Udyr was dying so easily, it actually might have been beneficial for Taric to see if he could wait up a second and see if he could get Ezreal that double buff. I mean, they definitely want the kill. But, double buff on Ezreal is just unstoppable. He can just spam his spell shot all day, and then with the red buff attached to it, they wouldn't even be able to lane against him. He could just stand up by these range creeps and just spam his Qs at them and just deal massive amounts of damage. So, I mean, it is good to get the jungle kill, and as a jungler, you really never want to die. Any death really sets you behind and really snowballs the lane very well. And Ezreal, though he was behind in some creep score to Ashe, he has caught up now. Though Ashe has recalled, so she will come back with some stronger items, and Ezreal will probably have to recall soon, so they're going to want to push this lane up to the tower so that they can recall safely, and the lane will push back while they're gone. Morgana did hit the snare, throwing off some damage, kind of poking each other. Ryze is kind of zoning off Singed right here. Not necessarily because Singed is about to die, but more so you don't really need to take needless damage when he's really only going to miss like 2 CS. Singed is TPing bot. They do pick up the... oh, they don't get the snare. Singed flashes in, throwing off the slope. No, he doesn't get it. So unfortunately, kind of a wasted teleport there, and Amumu's nowhere to be found, so they can't go after the dragon here. Trying to pick up the kill on that Blitzcrank, and they were just barely out of range. You know, just able to just get out of there. He does throw the slow onto Orianna, but he doesn't really go for the toss. He knows he was out of range. Amumu picking up some good farm here, but he is taking some damage from Ryze, so he won't be able to continue jumping as effectively. He is going to have to recall now. He'll probably actually clear these the golems and the wraiths, but they do need to watch out because Udyr, does he have... he does not have wriggles, so it's not a concern for him to do Dragon by himself, but they see bot lanes coming up. Singed is running around, throwing on his dot onto Ryze, but Ryze is chasing him down. They have to watch out. Ezreal's going to try and kind of spam his Qs at them, but they are probably going to get this Dragon. Not much that they can do. Ezreal throws off the toss. Does he get the... He got the Dragon. Ezreal was able to steal the Dragon with his ultimate, and Morgana is throwing off her ultimate, but she is going to go down here. Ashe arrow to the face. She goes down very quickly, almost getting the kill onto Udyr, but she didn't really do any damage to Udyr. Would have been more prudent for her to wait in the bush, see if she could get Udyr, or just play safe. There's no really reason to go into a team 1v4 unless you're going to guarantee a kill. Like she could have guaranteed a kill against Udyr if she had waited a second to get him, but unfortunately she didn't. But beautiful job by Ezreal stealing that dragon with his ultimate. And as we continue to look at the farm, you know, pretty average job by everyone. Orianna is in the lead. She is beating Morgana fairly well, so that's good to see. But Salsei is one of the strongest solos in the game. Dyrus has his Tear of the Goddess, so he's building up that mana. Next item will probably be looking for Catalyst or finishing off his boots. Doran stacking by Ashe as opposed to Ezreal, which he has the Brutalizer, so that really just greatly increases his damage. Brutalizer really is probably the best item on any DPS carry early in the game. The only issue with it is that it doesn't really build into anything. And so usually, I mean, there is Wriggles also. Wriggles is, you know, fantastic. But usually, you know, you want to go for those big items, which is why you don't go for an item like Brutalizer. But gives him great armor pen, gives him cooldown reduction. It really just synergizes so well with Ezreal. So he's doesn't have the health and lifesteal that Ashe has, but he definitely has, you know, vastly superior damage. Amumu kind of running in here. I don't know if his flash is up. If it's not, he's got to be careful. Ryze is throwing off some damage. Singed is going to be okay. They did get the CV onto Amumu, so he does need to get out of there. Orianna coming down to try and cut him off. This red is not up, but yes, Udyr was close nearby, probably trying to pinch in Amumu there. And Ryze is actually, the more and more I'm thinking about it, a great, you know, kind of counter to Singed, because he's got really strong burst damage output. He does have the snare. Most AP champs, I would think, with the disable are pretty good against Singed, but whereas Singed beats up against most melee champs in lane and can kind of sit there and farm very easily. So he's not having the best job. You see, he did get Merc Treads as opposed to something like Catalyst. He's running in, he throws the snare. The tower did not aggro onto Ryze, unfortunately, but he threw off the slow, hoping to toss him back into the tower. Amumu is coming mid. I'm not sure whether or not they have this warded. They must not, because Orianna, oh, very close. Orianna backing up, but I think she was backing up with regards to Morgana. So Amumu knows he can run in here. He could probably run in right now. Okay, Morgana is not turning around. He wants to clear out these creeps, and that's fine. Be a little bit safer. They are doing a good job keeping out of Blitzcrank's range bot. I was wondering if maybe they would need to put a ward in the brush to make sure that he doesn't hook them and that they can harass him. But Amumu's finally running in. He flashes in for the ultimate. The snare is going to go off. The snare goes off. Morgana uses her ultimate, and Orianna is going to go down now, but she flashes away, just barely living. She does die, and Udyr is chasing down Morgana, throwing off a ton of damage. The slow from Red Buff will take down Udyr. The snare from Morgana, he's taking a lot of damage, and there goes the kill on Udyr. Great play.